Did you ever wonder what a house of ill repute was? The word is a house with a bad reputation. Well, pay attention. We're going to learn a little bit more about that topic. Hey, everybody, this is Tony Tominick and
Sherry Spencer.
And we are here for a minute of history or two. And this is the beginning of episode 34. 34. Yes. And last night, Sherry, I shared one of our videos with the Avon Lake Kiwanis. Well, not the whole club, but 5.5 of them. So I think we are now at rounded numbers. So I think we're good. I think we might actually have 10 subscribers.
I cannot tell you what a relief that is, because after making my way through Pi Day, I feel really good about whole numbers, rounded numbers.
Yeah. Well, I did a great job on Pi Day. We finished off the cherry pie this morning, so for lunch. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we are going to talk about not in my house.
What do you mean, not in my house? What's that
mean? Well, in days of yore, my new favorite word, yore.
Before, during, and yore?
Yore.
Okay.
Except we kind of got that in the wrong order, but
it doesn't matter.
We'll just go with that.
Yeah.
So back in days of yore, it seems to me they had a house for just about everything.
And that brings a lot of colorful images to my mind.
Oh, well, and it will get even more colorful as we
I like a little color. We can add that with our booze.
Well, this is kind of a companion to that, I think.
Okay.
All right. So let me start us off with houses of ill fame.
So those are not famous houses.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the opposite.
Yeah, they are really famous houses.
It was one of the many ways of dancing around just exactly what these things really were.
Do you think? Nah, not in Avon Lake, but go ahead.
Well, no, not just in Avon Lake.
Okay.
In our neighboring communities as well. So let me tell you about one of those in 1898. So I'm talking about serious yore here, right?
Okay, yeah, that is way yore.
Yeah, House of Ill Fame in 1898. A woman by the name of Ruth Morris, or so she said, was an inmate, is how they described it.
They call them inmates?
They called them.
I call them something different now.
This was a Sandusky newspaper, and they were talking about a Sandusky house of ill fame on Water Street. And I think Water Street's still there, isn't it?
I guess. I'm guessing it is. I was just downtown Sandusky, but I didn't look.
Well, she was arrested for drunkenness and disorderly conduct. The disorderly conduct.
I just wonder what that means.
Came from a disorderly house. Do you want to guess what kind of a trade was going on in the disorderly house?
Well, maybe she just wasn't good at housekeeping.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, she didn't have like we have, robo vacuums.
Yeah, she didn't have that.
That doesn't sound
let's
good.
move on to 1904 in the city of Lorain, because there was some finger pointing going on in Lorain concerning houses of ill fame, as one Dr. Wheatley accused the city's police department of extracting protection money from houses of ill fame and, are you ready for this? Gambling houses.
Shame, shame, shame. You mean that there was a bad house in Lorain that was getting covered up by the local gendarmes?
I mean, there were more than one. What I find very interesting is that Dr. Wheatley was equally offended by the gambling house and the house of ill fame. Now, to me, one is far worse than the other, but
Well, back in yore, back in yore, it was apparently not as unacceptable as it would be if we had one of those naughty houses today here in Avon Lake.
Well, the naughty houses got under the skin of Cleveland's safety director Elliot Ness in 1938.
Dum, dum,
Oh, thank you.
dum, dum, dum.
Great intro music.
Thank you.
Because Elliot Ness fired a patrolman, pled guilty to charges of conduct unbecoming an officer after the letter's poor decision to spend some time in a house of ill repute.
It just gets darker and darker. I needed to be back in your.
Back in your?
I need to be back in your because I have a suspicion. Now I don't have any proof of any of this, but I'm guessing some of that probably still goes on in today's, not just your.
Ooh. Oh.
Oh yeah, don't say anything. We'll end up getting banned from YouTube.
Oh yes, we might, because do you think ill repute might be an offensive term?
I guess ill repute must mean what? A house of
Naughty house.
Yeah, a naughty house. A naughty house.
House of ill fame.
Yes, that's it.
Or a disorderly house.
Or a place where all the cars are on Friday and Saturday night.
Kind of like that, yeah. So in 1900 in Cleveland's Minnie Ridgely, who was also known as Minnie Chew, don't ask me why I should make that name, was arrested for keeping a disorderly house, and it had nothing to do with her housekeeping standards.
Okay.
But doesn't the name Minnie Chew sound like an angry chihuahua?
It's like a little tiny piece of chewing tobacco, or red man.
Oh, see, my
Mini Chew.
Yeah, my visual was an angry chihuahua, but it could be either or, I suppose.
Yeah. Oh, you and your fur babies, right?
But it wasn't just houses of ill fame, houses of ill repute, disorderly houses. They had to have yet another name.
What?
Bawdy house.
Bawdy.
Bawdy house.
Bawdy. I wonder where that word came from.
I don't know.
I'm going to have to look that one up.
You are. So in Cleveland in 1922, Cleveland's Ward 11, and you're going to have to look this up too. Where was Ward 11? But they were particularly aggrieved by the bawdy house business in that year. And they claimed to be troubled by that and a host of ill-conceived businesses to a greater degree than any other ward in the city.
So basically that's where you wanted to go, back in your.
Yeah, Ward 11.
Ward 11. In fact, I'm going to go scope that out this evening.
Can you picture drivers going down the highway, stopping, pulling? Hey, sir, excuse me. Can you point me to Ward 11?
Ward 11. Yeah, maybe they had lines painted. It's interesting. In Boston, they have an area called the Combat Zone. Historically, that when I used to travel for business, they actually had it spelled out on a map that it was not a good place to go.
Oh, was it bawdy?
It might have been naughty and bawdy. I don't know.
And ill-reputed.
Yeah, and ill-reputed.
Well, you know what? Bringing this all back to Avon Lake and your, according to a bit of interesting history shared by one of our own Avon Lake Historical Society members who sadly has passed away, we had a bawdy house, a disorderly house, an ill-famed house of ill repute.
You mean a house that was actually not a good house?
Yes, a naughty house.
A bad reputation?
Yes, right here in Avon Lake. And I'm not going to name any names, and I'm not going to give any addresses at the corner of Jaycox and Walker Road, but people might be driving along and asking for the bawdy house.
Yeah, where's the bawdy house? You couldn't get away with I guess you could get away with it in back in New York. They used a little bit more of a polite term, but today they would just basically call it a bordello or whatever, but it wouldn't be, it's back to these words,
Away with words.
Away with words.
Ride, ride, ride. Arms hanging out the window.